Hey everyone, this is Rachel. Thanks for clicking on my video. And y'all, I wanted to come in and talk about what's going on in Texas. As a woman, when I heard, this thing that they just passed, I don't know. It it made me kind of sad. It made me angry, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because as a woman, we have a right to decide what happens to our bodies. We don't tell men what they should and should not do. And then ultimately, at the end of the day, if the Lord says it's a sin, when you stand in Judgment Day, there's not going to be a politician there, there's not going to be a doctor there, there's not going to be anybody else there with you to answer for the abortion that you had. So that's why I don't believe that anyone should be in your business deciding for you what you can and cannot do with your body. Y'all, when you hear that this ban, well, it starts at 6 weeks, and we know as women, that's your first missed period. That means, say you had your period in January, it's time for your February period. It hasn't come, so you think it may be a little late. Y'all know how our period sometimes will come at the beginning of the month, and then the next month we're waiting, and it comes at the end of the month. So during that time period, when you're waiting for that February period to roll around, you discover you're pregnant around 6 weeks. The period hasn't come around. It's unusual. You go get a pregnancy test and you find out you're pregnant. Well, according to Texas, it's too late then to get an abortion. They also have banned it in the instances of rape and molestation. So that means that as a woman, if you're raped, that you have to give birth to the rapist child. If you are molested, you have to give birth to that molester's child. Now, I often tell the men in my life that men meet the baby. Women, from the moment that that seed is implanted in us and it starts to grow, our bodies know that it's there. They change, you know. It changes everything about us from our head to our toes. Some women's hair will grow, some women's noses will get bigger, they'll get a dark shadowing on their neck, their boobs expand, they're tender. You feel all these little feelings in your stomach, your back, everything. It changes everything about us. You get cravings that you never had before. Now, a lot of this stuff over the years, you know, they have become jokes, about how a woman will, crave a pickle in the ice cream. But that's the beauty about our bodies. Our bodies create life, you know? And at the end of the day, since it's our bodies that go through creating that baby, giving birth to that baby, going through whatever a woman goes through when she's pregnant. Why isn't it our choice to decide if we want to go through that? Because, like I said, at the end of the day, if it's a sin, that woman is going to be standing on Judgment Day by herself. So the decision should be hers. We don't get to tell men what to do and not to do with their bodies. So now, for those women down in Texas, if they are molested, they're raped, or if they just, I guess, can't carry a baby and it's a decision of either the baby or them, it's the baby. Y'all, this bothers me because I had conversations with my mother when I was a young woman, and she told me what the world was like for her and friends of hers when they were in those childbearing years. And this is prior to abortions, prior to the pill, and prior to all of that. My mother talked about a time when the pill didn't exist and how pretty much every time you laid down, there was a risk that in 9 months you would have a baby. That's why families of yesteryear were bigger, because there was no birth control. The control of our bodies on whether we wanted to produce, we didn't have it. You know, the only thing we had was abstinence, you know? And then think about the time before abortions were legal. My mother tells me about women being found in hotel rooms with instruments in them where they have hemorrhaged and died. My mother talks about, you know, hearing about that there's this person that performs illegal abortions, and you don't know whether that person is qualified. You don't know if when you get there that it's going to be a sterile environment. You don't know. So a lot of women went into those situations and came out without the ability to ever conceive again, because what was done to them in those rooms behind those closed doors by those unlicensed professionals left them sterile. My mother talked about how prior to abortion and the pill, how a woman almost felt stuck having baby after baby after baby. Because back then, they even needed permission from their husbands to get their tubes tied. You know? I mean, really. What they did in Texas has set women back quite a few years. And then I hear this morning that there are other states that are looking to emulate what occurred in Texas. And though I'm not in those childbearing years anymore, I am 56, so those days are over for me. I I can empathize with women who are. I can understand the worry and the fear if this thing that Texas did sweeps across the country. Now, there is still Roe versus Wade on the books, but they are defying that. And the Supreme Court is not upholding Roe versus Wade. So it's allowing this to happen. Texas found a way around it. Now, trust me when I say that those other conservative states, they're going to look at what Texas did. And those conservative governors and, you know, Republicans are going to try to copy what Texas did. So I actually don't think that it's just going to be isolated to Texas. And that worries me for the women of this generation. You know, it worries me that choice has been taken away from them. Like I said, and I'm going to say it again, if it's a sin, you know, if having an abortion, terminating a pregnancy is a sin, that woman will stand on Judgment Day by herself. Let that sink in for a moment. When God is pulling out her list of things that she has to account for, who else is going to be standing there with her? You know? I don't know, y'all. That that thing that Texas did, it you know, it just saddens me. I don't know why, as you know, as a woman of this age, it bothers me so much. I guess because when I was in my childbearing years, I did have a choice. You know, I had a choice to take birth control. I had a choice whether, I got an unwanted pregnancy, the choice of whether I wanted to continue the pregnancy or terminate. I had a choice. And what they're doing now is they're taking away that choice from women. But think about it. As women, if we mess with what is innately male and we started passing laws about what men could and could not do with their bodies, a lot of this stuff would change. They are just, they're in control, at least in Texas for now. I want to know what y'all thoughts are on it. And, you know, how do you feel about it when you really think about it? You know, I don't know, y'all. I was just telling my son about it last night. And I had told him that while for me, I think that to have one, to have an abortion would really mess me up. So what I did when I was younger is I tried to do everything within my power to not be put in that position, you know? And with that in mind, though, I believe in it for everyone else. I believe that a woman should have a choice, but I just didn't want to do it for myself, you know? But my own personal belief for me and what would mess with my head does not stop me from wanting it for my other sisters out there. You know, if they're in a situation where they know that bringing that life into the world is not good, then I want them to have a choice, because there's nothing worse, and especially in terms of rape and molestation, to be carrying something in your body that you don't want. And any woman who's out there that has ever been pregnant knows what it feels like when that baby is growing inside you. Imagine if that baby is the result of a rape or you being molested. Oh my God. Oh my God, y'all. I don't know. I'm going to get out of here. I want to hear what y'all think. And as always, thanks for watching my video. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye now.